Hi, everybody. Welcome to your second live sessions of the night. Lucky you. We have returning for, I don't know, the 100th time. Josh, how are you doing? Joshua. I
I'm
guess I
great.
should say Joshua Uttech. Joshua.
What's
Um,
up?
we've been friends for a minute, so I forget that I have to call you your whole name.
2020, 2019 when we met?
Yeah, 2020. Yeah.
During the heart of the pandemic. So I'm
Yeah.
just trying to shut my computer off.
Yeah. It's been a minute. It's
Yeah.
crazy.
Well,
And
you've been jumping, moving all over and doing all
yeah,
kinds of stuff.
yeah. If you guys don't know, we had a show last year, in August, and Josh got to play in one of the live shows that we have, the showcases. So that was lots of fun and really awesome.
It,
That I finally got to have him on an LMS stage.
it was,
So
yeah, I get to meet everybody that was there and like hear them all and what they're doing. It was
yeah,
awesome.
yeah, it was so much fun. I had so much fun.
It
It went too late though, but it was fun nonetheless.
was, yeah, but it was still fun.
It was a lot of fun. What have you been up to? Like, do you want to give us a little bit of an update?
Sure. Um, just life, but last summer, so in the last couple of years, 2021, I was able to start gigging pretty regularly at some of these local places. There was a place in Everett that hired me like every Friday, and that really kicked off me gigging regularly, like 2 3 nights a week, sometimes four. um and that went into the last couple of years, and it was last summer that I was starting to turn down gigs. Now these were daytime gigs at the SeaTac airport, because I worked for Gigs for You, and they
Mm-hmm.
have 7 days a week. They're doing 4 gigs a day, two
Wow.
hour 2 hour sets.
Yeah.
And but there's a lot of musicians now signed up. So, but I'm also having the good problem of even my gig manager was like, well, you'll be turning down the gigs. I'm like, well, I've got other gigs on those days. And he's like, well, that's a good problem, I guess. And I was like, yeah, it is. It's hard to believe it's even happening sometimes. But yeah, so last summer I quit my full-time job. I just stepped down from management to be just a barista part-time, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and now I'm just doing music full time, and it's amazing. It's awesome. Yeah.
That's
So,
Yeah, I remember in the beginning of you saying you that was like the end goal, of you wanting to be able to be full time and be able to um be gigging all the time and playing music all the time. Like that was just the end goal. So power to you for doing it. What, 3 years later?
it's crazy because I set the goal. You set goals, but I was serious about it finally after my DUI. And we talked
Yeah,
about on, I think, my first interview.
yeah,
We talked
yeah,
about that. But yeah, sitting in a jail cell will sober you up to go like, okay, what am I gonna do with my life? Because I just fucked it up pretty bad.
yeah,
Um, and that was when I recorded Lost Girl, the first single, and here we are, all, I don't know, 5.5 years later from the accident, and almost 5 years to the release of Lost Girl, which came out in July of 2019.
yeah,
um 5 years later, I'm full-time. I've still got a part-time job.
yeah,
My ultimate goal in the next couple years is to not need a, but I'm just letting it happen naturally. I'm
yeah,
just like as we were talking before we started the live about, just like, if you're religious, it'd be that hands off the wheel Jesus.
yeah,
Or you take the wheel, Jesus, or whatever that saying is.
yeah,
I don't identify as Christian. I was raised that way, but I don't. Yeah, I'm just spiritual nowadays. But yeah, I'm just like trying to flow with life, man. Like, we can get so anxious, and
yeah.
it's all over our freaking society. It makes me
Yeah.
want to check out other cultures, because I'm like, are they fucking anxious and depressed as we are, or what?
Right?
Are we doing it wrong in America? I think so.
I think so. Yeah. I mean, I feel like we are. on teetering on that for sure. But yeah, I mean, it's very interesting to honestly, it's so great uh, to see you kind of grow in it, and be able to like have a different mindset set and a different perspective than when you first were on. And I remember when Lost Girl was like really prominent and it was very like important at that time. And not that it isn't now, but now it's like a part of an album and you're gigging consistently and you have an album coming out and like all of this stuff. Like I feel like it's just been just this amazing journey to kind of see you kind of progress to like where you are now and being able to like have that height of what you were kind of going for, regardless of having everybody has a part-time job sometimes. Like I feel
Yeah.
like there's no musician unless you're like charging $1,000 a night or something like that. Like there's no musician that doesn't have a part-time job that I know of, you
Yeah.
know.
It's
So
interesting about that because I know at least one person who is full time, and they're doing very well for themselves. But they also still play some of the local gigs that are only paying X amount of dollars because that's their budget.
yeah,
Uh, and I mean, I don't know. Maybe they have a different arrangement with that person, but I would like to think it's probably not. It doesn't seem that way from at least from the local gig scene, the paying gigs, not like the ones that are like ticketed shows, but the wineries and breweries and
yeah,
coffee shops and restaurants and wine bars and that kind of scene that's
mm,
so spread wide. Like you can go so many different cities around the Pacific Northwest and get work and make $100 an hour if you're good.
yeah,
But that's what they're paying.
yeah,
Uh, and it's nice to have some transparency. I've met a couple people just through Instagram and never even met him in person yet, but we've been throwing gigs each other's way, and he's just awesome. But it's been nice too to meet somebody who's been transparent as well about like gig pay,
yeah,
because it can help us all if we kind of start knowing like, hey man, this is what we should be being paid. Um, it's like making me go, fuck, we need a musicians union. But I looked into that and the Seattle one, or at least the Washington one, it's not bad, but I was gonna sign up for it, but I was looking at the gig pays and I was like, I make more than that now, just going out on my own and booking with people. So,
yeah.
and I'm already got enough gigs. I don't know. It's a crazy business.
It is. It is. Being someone who was, booking people, it was definitely hard to get the venue to see that, um I never let anybody, or I can't say never. I tried not to let anybody get less than $100 an hour, you know?
Yeah,
It was never it was never always that way because people, some venues were just um, you know, we only do this much and that's what we're going to excuse
right.
me. That's what we're going to pay.
Yeah,
But it was really hard. I think that every musician, if they're going to do it full time, should be $100 an hour. And um, you know, uh, I wish that I at my shows could pull that off and to give everybody what they deserve and raise enough money for that, because I think that is what everybody deserves. You
yeah.
know, you're doing it full time, you're good at it, all of these things. Then you do deserve that.
Well, yeah,
Oh,
crazy too. Think
sorry.
about um, with how much time and effort is put in,
Yeah.
the actual pay is like you're spending so many hours for free because you love what you do. And in fact, there's times where like I put off doing the computer work, which is like the emails and the Facebook and all that kind of stuff that I really need to continue to grow in that. And I've been listening to some like podcasts to get that motivation. Like that's the next thing I need to really start learning to be really good at.
Yeah.
And then also getting, anyways, I rambled. So you got to be. I start going off course. Just pull me back.
Yeah.
What were we talking about? Gigs. Oh, it's like,
The back end.
well, so I've got some places that I guess I'll just be transparent. I've got some places that have just outright paid me more than I've been charging.
Mm.
And I was just like, well, thank you very much. And so I just accept that they're paying, and they didn't even ask me. In fact, I think one of them, I had looked back in the emails because when they paid me, I was like, oh, that was too much. And then they just kept paying me that much. And I was like, oh. And I looked back in the emails and it was very clear I had sent exactly what I charged. And then they just were like handing me more. So it was like, all right, great. Now there's another one that's has been a regular one for a while. And they just were like, this is as much as we can pay you.
Yeah.
If you want more than that, I can't hire you.
Yeah.
And so
That's
I
see.
was like, well, all right. And so I'm kind of feeling that out at the moment. And it actually feels like, I don't know. I talked to a friend who's not full time. They are very, very talented and they could be, but they also have the full time job because they have their own plan.
Yeah.
But so that they have, because they got the full time job, they kind of have more the freedom to charge a certain amount. And if someone won't pay it, then just be like, all right, fine, I won't play.
Yeah.
And I probably could have done that in the past, but now I'm like, I talked to them about this, which is cool because it's good to have friends that are musicians like that you can really, they can
Yeah.
relate to with everything you're talking about,
Yeah.
uh, to booking gigs to all that. And I said, well, I think I'm going to put more emphasis, at least in my career. And I think this is going to I think everybody would be more successful if they did this. You just take the emphasis off the money, know that you'll be provided for in the end. Like it'll all work out, you're a hard worker and you're good at what you do. You will be paid. There was a guy who made a good example of it. He was like, think about the people who are like, want to try the fried rice? And you're like, all right. And you try this, they give it to you a little bit for free. And you're like, holy crap. And then you end up buying a bunch of it.
Yeah.
So he was trying to make a metaphor. You could look at your business like that. Maybe you give a little away for free. So I have done that. I've taken a lower paying gig just to get my foot in the door. And then they see, wow, he's good. And then I might not like approach them to book another one. I might wait for them to message me back.
Yeah.
Hopefully that's what they do,
Yeah.
And then when they do, just say, well, this is how much I'm charging.
Yeah.
And then when they say they can't afford it or they don't reply, then I might reply back and say, well, I do want to build working relationships with people. Because I think that's more important,
Yes. I
you
agree.
know. I got hooked up with this it's not a farmer's market, but it's like a market kind of thing out in Monroe.
Yeah.
The coolest people I've ever met and worked with. And it was one of the most fun gigs I've ever played. It was just like a perfect day. It was like started off like all foggy and like misty, and then the sun broke open and it was gorgeous. And there's just all these killer vendors right there in this little like grass lot out
Yeah.
in out in the woods on this person's property. And it was just amazing, dude. I like crushed it. And they actually weren't able to pay me what I charged, but I was like, well, I want to build these relationships, so let's try it out. And I went out and it was like amazing, dude. I sold a bunch of CDs there. They gave me like my own little booth in part of the market. So as people are like, passing around shopping, they're like, oh, look, the musician. Oh, he's got records for sale. He's got CDs for
Yeah.
sale. It was fucking amazing, dude. I crushed it. I made so much money, dude. It was like, and what was crazy too, and this is the spiritual side of me, was like, I was just like, I don't know how I'm going to get there because this one I didn't have a car last summer. And I was like, I know I can get a bus to Monroe. So I got a bus out there in the morning, got out to Monroe super early in case I had to fucking walk. Like I was prepared to walk with my amp and backpack and, that all that whole crap I used to
Yeah.
carry. And I got an Uber right when I got there. And he was like the only guy out there. He's like, you're lucky, man. I usually drive out to like Bothell, Woodinville at this time in the morning, but I was just leaving my house. And then when I was leaving there in the afternoon, same thing, got an Uber, no problem. And,
Wow.
but so I'm long-winded, but I do think building relationships is where it's at.
Yeah.
That's where you really make the connections that lead to like opportunities, and
100%. Yeah.
yeah.
I think that's what it word of mouth is huge in this industry. And, you know, what I learned in booking for people was, venues talk to each other, or they talk to the bookers, or, you know, um, all of that kind of stuff. It's word of mouth. It's the other bands also saying, "Hey, like these people are fucking amazing. Let's have them on a bill with us. Are you willing to do that too?" Or whatever. So I feel like that's really, really important. And oh my god, I'm so sorry. I feel like that's what's really important, and what's really special about the industry is that you can, um, you know, use those networks and use those people to be able to get more and more and better, and be able to find that kind of space where everybody's calling you rather than you calling everybody else.
Yeah, it's working,
Yeah.
and it's all. I think it just starts with you. Okay, this is just according to all this different stuff I'm reading and listening to over the years about whether it's manifesting or whether it's just like success practices or just like whatever. And it really all starts with like believing in yourself, like really fucking believing it. You can't just that imposter syndrome shit. I know someone who quit the game and they were talented as fuck, but they just like I don't know. I guess the fear of not making it or whatever feeling they had was more powerful than the love of doing it and the want of the dream of doing it. And like I listen to that stories of there was a um, Wayne Dyer, really famous author and self-help, whatever, spiritual stuff like that. He was talking about a study of like people when they were dying, and it was a really broad, big study of, and what was like the biggest regrets. And all these people on their deathbeds, their biggest regret was not living what they truly wanted to do with their life, whatever it was, trying to be a fireman or whatever, trying to be a singer, trying to be a painter, a photographer, and really making it work as a career. And so I'd rather spend the next 5 years continuing to just make albums and gig around locally and even like interstate, start going to Oregon and Idaho and just start gigging, keep doing that and just continue to see how this grows as I put my love and energy into this thing that I believe in that, you know,
Yeah.
I can already see the progression. I can hear the old recordings we started making 5 years ago and go, they're they're going to be better now. Like this new one is way better than the previous ones, and that's also because my producer is continuing to get better. Right?
Yeah.
He's 5 years better than he was. I found when I got this car now I'm, which is great because now I'm able to gig. I'm able to book gigs further away, and it takes less time than me. Like I was doing ones all the way. I did a couple in Puyallup and Sumner
Oh
back
my
when
god.
I was bussing it and Ubering it. And you make it work, you get there, it just takes a lot of time. And then the trip home is really long. And from there, it's like a bus or a walking a mile or taking a short Uber, and then a bus into Seattle, which takes an hour from Puyallup. And then getting off that, walking a few blocks, and then down into the tunnel, take the train up to Northgate, get off the train, wait for the next bus to Everett,
Yeah. Oh my
and
god.
that's a 35-minute bus. And the train, anyways, it's just a lot of energy, time.
Yeah.
Where was I going with that? The car.
I was like, wait, I gotta go back too.
I started digging out all my old CDs because now I have this car it's a 2000 and it has a CD disc changer in it and it has a
Yeah.
cassette. It has a fucking cassette player in it, dude.
What?
It's epic. I'm listening to cassette tapes from when I was like 8 years old that
Yeah.
I still have that work. It's amazing. But I found some old CDs that I made recordings of, like so long ago.
That's so
Like I
cool.
wasn't even that good at the guitar. I can hear it in the recording. I'm just like,
Yeah.
and the singing. And I think we had done it in my apartment, so I was like not really like letting it all go. I was kind of holding back. and you can
Yeah.
hear it, and it's just like I couldn't even listen to it. I listened to like half of it, and I was like, oh gosh, oh god, this is so bad, so, so bad. But that's cool, right? To find how
How awesome.
and remember that you weren't great,
Yeah.
and remember to
How far
really be
you
able
come?
to touch that part of yourself from the past as a musician when
Yeah.
you were very good and dexterous and doing stuff like and you didn't have great technique and control to have like good touch and be able to add more dynamics to your playing, like whether you can play really soft or powerful, all these things you can do that it's just crazy, man. Like you're like, this is the same body. No, technically not, because we keep regenerating cells, right? But uh, it's wild being alive.
Yeah. It's so amazing. I love it.
Yeah,
Um,
when it's happy, it's great. When
yeah,
it's
exactly.
about the heartache,
Well, I mean, everybody in some way or fashion has, you
yeah,
know,
yeah,
experienced loss or a breakup or whatever. Everybody's experienced something.
yeah,
So I feel like that's kind of all relative to everybody. Um, but it
yeah,
also depends on how you recoup from that in your life and how you take that and what that does for your life. And some things can knock you down for a while, other things can, and that's the thing that I think I've learned in moving out here, honestly. If we're talking about it, is that I really had to like grasp um, and sit with myself, because here there's only 150 people in this city. So I don't
oh,
have the, yeah, so I don't have the like, um, the distraction of other people. There really isn't anything to do here other than to be in your home. So like, you have to be okay with other people. You have to get along with your neighbors. You have to like all these other things that I never had to really worry about in Seattle.
mm-hmm.
And so here I really had to like work through all of that crap that had happened the last 3 years, 4 years, and
Yeah,
really like deal with those hard things. And I think in life you can either choose to do that and better yourself, or sit in that and be on your deathbed wishing you could have had a different life.
yeah,
Um and I just didn't want to be doing that. I was like, no, I want to have a life. I want LMS to grow into something better. I mean, it's okay now, but like I really have plans of things that I really want it to be better and bigger. And so it's those things where you have to like kind of decide that you're going to do it just like you did. I have been doing 100%, and LMS has been all of me this whole time, but am I really putting 150% in it? No.
right.
You know?
Yeah, that's hard though. I mean, it's like I'm trying to find that balance, and I'm trying to go. This is a long game
Yeah,
for me.
100%.
This is like I'm fucking gonna be Willie Nelson, 90 years old, like on the fucking stage. Okay, so I'm
Yeah,
only I'm only 44 on Friday. I'm 45, so I'm halfway. I got 45 more years to go till I'm. That's a long time. Trust me. Like
yeah.
I feel old,
Oh
but
god,
for
I
the
do too.
20-something-year-old baristas I work with, oh, I'm the fucking old guy.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
but but I'm not. I could probably run circles around them in a yoga room, like. But um, take them to a power yoga class and probably watch them fall over. But but yeah, man, it's like you just got to work at your dream. Like it don't even have to be like it doesn't have to become like it can stay a side gig, but it can also become. You never know when it's going to become if you don't try. I love
Exactly.
that. That's one of those sayings that you're going to hear from the inspirational. There's so many people out there spreading inspirational shit now. The ones I don't like are the ones who are kind of yelling and aggressive. It's like, dude, I'm over that. Like, bro, I was in football practice. I got screamed at enough, dude. I'm good.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
was in construction, hard hat, concrete. I don't fucking need any more rough, gruff assholes trying to like motivate me to do
yeah,
whatever the fuck they think I need to do with my life.
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
good. I want the
It,
inspiration. I like that like calm, collected. There's like a Zen Buddha guy now, Buddhist guy that's like, he's great. I can't remember his name. Anyways, you can find him on YouTube. If you just look up like Buddhist monk inspiration, I bet you find him. Just listening to him talk will calm you down.
Wow.
I mean, it does to me. Like, it just makes me go like, and that's where I'm trying to get with my life. Like, dude, this whole thing to me is like, since I'm spiritual AF, like, is I have to keep reminding myself this is just this like journey,
Hmm.
and it's
Right. That's
feel it.
that's what I've learned here is like I moved to this house that's on the river, and I was like, I'm not going to live on the river and have stress. That's not what my most of my life I wanted my own house on a water source of some sort. River, lake, whatever the hell it was, ocean, what didn't matter. And so now that I have that, I I'm like, okay, I can go out in the morning at 7 o'clock in the morning before work and sit with my dog and watch the sun come up over the river. And like, it's kind of foggy, it looks kind of cool. It's this whole like where I've been able to like actually, where in Seattle, you wouldn't catch me doing that at all. I was just like going, 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 right? Here, it's more, I walk my dog along the river. Like, I walk so slow. It should be a workout. It's not. And I just enjoy where it's supposed to be. It's not. I just enjoy like where I live, and I'm thankful that I live in somewhere so gorgeous and beautiful every day of the moment, no matter snow or not. And um, I think getting to that point of being able to just kind of stop and slow down and like ex- um, either accept where you are in life or accept where you are and change it and be
Yeah,
like, what I
start
want.
start making those steps to change it if you don't.
Yeah, exactly. Then I think you're in a good spot. Um, and I think it comes with healing, it comes with acceptance, it comes with continuing to have that motivation to even want to be in, to even want to try to get to whatever you want to do. Because some people are like, oh, I want to be whatever, and then they're like, well, there's no way I can do it. I'm too old, I'm young, I'm whatever.
I tell you what, man. I mean, I don't know what happened, and obviously the car accident for me in my life was like a turning point
Yeah.
because it's
Me
funny,
too.
like my relationship to alcohol instantly changed.
Yeah.
I'd walk past the bar and I'd be tempted to go in because that's what I would have used to do. I'm walking home like I'm good, or even driving home and stop for a beer. But I just like lost my truck because I was drove drunk. And it was like now all of a sudden having a beer had a totally different feeling. It made me almost feel guilty for a while. Took a long time. And then getting sober for a couple of years was like that helped. And then dipping my toe back in was like,
Yeah.
and it's
Yeah.
now I've actually been just taking a break again, and I feel great, and I don't miss it at all. Like I
I
don't a hangover. I don't miss like any of the side effects. I don't miss being fucking tired and lazy the next day, even if my hangover is not bad, but I'm just sluggish. And then I got to go to a gig, and then I would have another drink, and it becomes a cycle. In
Yeah.
fact, I would think how I got into this topic was motivational people, which
Yeah.
is, I guess, ties into what I'm about to say. Is I found this podcast about a stop drinking coach, and I was just curious what he was talking about because I learned when I went through my divorce and my ex-wife as an alcoholic, but so I had thought, and we drank a lot together, and so I thought maybe I had an issue too. I had an unhealthy relationship with it. I wasn't an alcoholic. I'm not an alcoholic,
Yeah.
and I think, and as I've learned now that I've got a car again and I have to blow into this thing multiple times when I'm driving. If I have to drive for an hour, I have to blow into that thing like 4 or 5 times.
Wow.
You can blow into it to start it, and then like 2 or 3 minutes later, it makes you blow again, so that you can't have a friend who's sober blow for you and then drive away, which is pretty smart. Anyways,
Yeah.
there's just so many things you have to do to get out of trouble once you get a DUI in Washington State,
Yeah.
which I think is good that it's so hard and so complicated and such a pain in the ass. Because this is my opinion, and this is opinion that's got some experience behind it. Trust me, I've been through a lot of therapy, and I had to go through all the court processes and the classes and everything you have to do. If you have a second DUI, you have an unhealthy relationship with substance. You can't say no when you know you should.
Yeah.
You can't make the judgment call to take an Uber.
Yeah.
Like, you fucked up twice. Now you got to go through that again. Like, and I know people who have like three. I've heard of a friend of ours. Anyways, I think he got his fourth recently. I think they should pull your license for good if you get three strikes. You're out of the game. Like,
Yeah.
you're not allowed to drive a motor vehicle. Sorry, you played, you lost.
Yeah. 100%. And that's the part. I think I was just talking about this with the gentleman before you, and he is what do you say, 3 years sober now as of tomorrow, as of Friday.
Yeah,
And Coaster, who's been on the show several times, he's 9 years as of today. And I
nice.
think you know it's something that I think is very prominent in the local scene, but also kind of a requirement that you be loose and you drink, and you have all of that so that you can party and whatever in the scene and mingle and whatever that is. But I mean, I only, for me personally, like I don't drink at all for the most part. I have
Hmm.
maybe one or two or three a year, and that's it. You
Yeah,
know? Um and so I mean, I have plenty of alcohol at my house. There I have no reason not to drink it. But I live next to a bar, like there's no reason why I shouldn't. But I also like I work at a um, grocery store where people are coming in completely intoxicated, and they are, you know, driving to the store to get more, you
right.
know.
Yeah.
I can't do anything
Good.
about it, but it's hard to see and it's hard to watch because it's like, I get we live in the middle of nowhere, there's nothing else really to do, but you're
Right.
still, putting people at risk. And that's what's hard for me is, contributing to that. But as
Yeah.
far as musicians and things go, I just see it so much, and so many people now are kind of becoming sober and kind of seeing that, like, they don't have to rely on that to be able to be a musician, you
Yeah, and
know?
have fun in a crowd.
Yeah.
I think that's a big. Well, a lot of people do it because of the anxiety of social
100%.
anxiety.
Oh,
Even
100.
a confident person, dude, is getting social anxiety unless they're a total fucking sociopath or
Yeah.
so narcissistic that they think everyone worships them.
Yeah.
And that's a total other, uh, personality problem.
Yeah.
You know what
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah. But yeah,
So
I mean,
a lot
it's
of people do it because it's the nervousness. That's why so many people on first dates are like, whoop, whoop, and then they get in bed together. It's
yeah.
it's the alcohol. I can look back on pretty much every awful thing, not all of them, but like lots of awful things that happened to me in my adult life.
Hmm.
Alcohol was involved.
Yeah.
Whether it was a drunken fight that went awry with somebody, whether it was a man or a woman, like it's just
Yeah.
like, dude, it's I don't know. It's got its place, okay?
It
But
does.
what happened in our culture, and I don't know why it's become what it is. I think it's because of media, and I think it's lack of like control and parenting. I don't know, but there's a lot of combination. But it seems like it's just like woohoo, fucking binge, 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 go, go, go. Like, and it's cool to do it.
Yeah.
Especially in the music thing, like the music part of it, dude. Listen to the songs. I
Yeah.
mean, I love Willie. It's like Whiskey River, Take My Mind. Now that song's old.
Yeah.
Somebody wanted me to learn how to play some Morgan Wallen, and I'm just really not a fan, so I didn't feel like learning the songs because I don't want to play them anyways. And I want to like enjoy what I'm playing, to an extent. I love doing requests, but
Yeah.
if I don't like the stuff, I'm not going to learn it. And to be
Right.
frank, the first two songs of his I learned, and I know they're not. I'm sure they're not all like this, but they were basically just beat about being an alcoholic. The entire
Yeah.
song is about just being a booze hound, or the girl left me, better get all sauced up, which I think is the fucking worst thing in a lot of these musicians are doing, and it's been going on in our culture for way too long because I mean, look what I did with myself. Now, I was a grown man. I should have known better, but I thought, for whatever reason, probably because I had lack of proper like coaching in my life, and I'm not blaming anybody for that, but I didn't have the proper tools to deal with the heartache pain of like a marriage falling apart.
Yeah.
And so even though I did take some time off the booze, I eventually went back to it, and I thought that I was going to be happy again if I met somebody. That's what I really thought. I was going to meet somebody new, and I'm going to meet them when I go out. Where am I going to go out? I'm going to go see my friends, and we're going to hang at the bar. That's
Yeah.
what I that was what I did.
Yeah.
In fact, I was just driving today, and I was going, wow, I would probably be going to a bar if this was like years ago. And I was like,
Yeah.
I think I drove past one that I used to go to, and I was like, yeah, that's some fun there, you know. But like life changes, and
Yeah. Well, and
now
your prayer,
I put my
your
time and energy into being healthy, enjoying my life, living as long as I can for this body. And sure, I'll have a drink with you, you know, on your birthday or some shit, but that's probably about it. And that's okay too. And it's okay for people that I'm not I don't want to demonize anybody at all. I don't want to come off like that.
oh
Uh, but I think definitely in our society, it's out of control, man. Like it's
yeah,
like it's not much different than the guns. It's fucking out of control, and no one's fucking willing to just be like, hey, seriously, come on.
this is an issue. Yeah.
We're just gonna keep like going, oh, thoughts and prayers, you know, like
But there's
we
so much money in
we
it. That's the problem.
good, good.
Yeah. There's so much money in it. That's the issue. And
Yeah,
it's connected people to feeling looser, like as
yeah,
in if they have a first date and they're nervous, or they're going on stage and they're nervous, or whatever the
yeah.
case is, that that have brought themselves to that point, it's some sort of fear or nervousness. Then or maybe just fear of themselves. I don't know.
Mhm.
But it's definitely, I think there needs to be some more coaching around uh, options and being able to do other things other than that. Like I'm having a game night tomorrow night with the
Mhm.
friends that I've met here, right? And if they want to drink, fine. But I was like, let's just all have some fun, be adults, like play some games and just laugh and have fun, you know?
Yeah.
And and that's where, I feel like there needs to be encouragement like that of, let's do something else other than go to the bar. Let's find something else we all can do and go to the bar, whether it's a picnic or sit at the fucking
Yeah.
river or sit outside and just enjoy the sun, or whatever, and so enjoy the ambiance of like where we live, or whatever. So I think there just needs to be more encouragement of that kind of thing. And I know in major metropolitan like Seattle and all of that, it's hard because it's that like LA type where you have to keep going and going and going. But I think it's rare when you can stop and be like, okay, I don't want to be in that situation anymore, or I am getting a divorce and I don't I don't know how to deal with my emotions. What is something else I could do? And
Yeah.
um, I just really feel like it would help a lot of people rather than let everybody go ahead and do that and be like, okay, like go ahead and have a drink and it'll solve all your problems, like like Morgan Wallen, and drowned all your sorrows in the alcohol or whatever. And so um I don't know, it's a hard thing, but with music I think it's so prominent in musicians, and it's something that
Yeah.
it's just automatic, you know.
Well, it's in a way because of how long it's been in music and songs and lyrics of, drowning your sorrows in a bottle. I mean, look at Tennessee Whiskey, dude. That song is so fucking famous. Like, I never even heard of that song because I'm not a huge country person
Yeah.
until the Chris Stapleton version came out. And in fact, I thought he wrote it, but then I found out, of course, not. And I still haven't heard the original. I heard it's good too, but whatever. I mean, the song is about a dude. He's rescued from this loves rescues him from being basically killing himself with alcohol.
Yeah.
That's what the song is about.
Yeah.
And that's beautiful, but it's also Jesus fucking Christ. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Really sad that that's my favorite
it's
song.
been in
But
so
yeah.
long. It becomes a social form of programming. Not, and I'm not saying it's intentional. I don't like to go the conspiracy route anymore. I used to a long time ago,
Yeah.
but um, yeah, and it's like they're probably not even doing it on purpose. But I think of like this other version of me, right? And he lives in like the Midwest or something, and he's got the fucking. I just bought myself a new baseball hat. He's got the baseball hat, and he's got the truck, and he goes to his construction job or whatever every day, and he's listening to those country tunes on the on the radio, and then his girlfriend breaks up with him. Well, what is he going to think to do? He's going to
Yeah.
be just like his heroes who sing the songs, and he's going to go to the fucking bar, trying to meet some woman. And it's just a recipe for disaster, man. It's not a recipe for healing. I promise you that. Like anyone who's been through that shit and gotten off the bottle, even to just have a different relationship with it, like I thankfully have now. I got a bottle of rosé and a beer in my fridge that, frankly, I didn't like the beer, so I just didn't drink it. I had friends when they come over, which is not very often, been drinking it, and the rosé is if there's ever a woman over here, which
Yeah.
which at the moment is not happening, and I'm fine with that. Thankfully, finally get to a place in your life where you're happy being single, and just
Yeah.
we'll go back to the thing of just
Yeah.
be easy in life,
Girls.
no stress, man. And honestly, alcohol stresses me out nowadays.
Yeah.
Just kind of does. It just
Well,
has
stress.
that effect on me, and it's not as fun as it used to be. I mean, it
Yeah.
might. I'm sure it will be with a gathering of friends, and it's done responsibly. That's great. That's fucking amazing. I mean, cheers, everybody. It's so fun.
Yeah.
And it's really more about the energy of the people. It's not about the booze.
Exactly. Yeah. I think that's what needs to change is the energy around it and what you're doing while drinking it, you know? It's a whole different thing. I mean, it's it's definitely hard because you're like it can be a peer pressure thing. Like I haven't drinking forever and then I came to Seattle in January, I think, or something, and saw some friends and oh no, it was just in the beginning of March. Sorry. It was the beginning of March. And saw some friends and we were all sitting around and I had a Coke, right?
Hmm.
Everybody there had a drink, right? And I was like thinking they were all like, "This is so delicious" and whatever. And I was like, man, I was kind of feeling like I was left out almost, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
So I ended up getting just they had like big glasses of it. I just got like a little one because I was driving and I didn't want to we were going to be there for a little while, but I was like I don't want to like drink a whole lot. And
Yeah.
so um and it turns out it was delicious. But like at the same token, it was more out of peer pressure than it was me actually wanting it, which is what
Right.
I realized after when I left.
Yeah.
Um, and so it was like, man, like I never used to have that peer pressure. Like I didn't care. And in that moment with my closest friends, I was like, man, everybody's drinking. I'm not. Like, am I like just the loser, like or something, you know?
Not
So
at all. Obviously, you know that. But what's cool though is I think is when we start to learn, we recognize these things, and then we start learning to get so confident in ourselves and being like, "I'm good." Like even if they whatever they think, and
yeah.
that's like that's easier said than done. Obviously, like I can
Uh-huh.
say all shit in an interview, or I
Yeah,
could
yeah,
say to you on the phone when I'm helping you through something and talking all about all this stuff I've learned, and this is how you handle it, and but I've still hit these
yeah,
hard moments in my life, and I like feel myself scrambling to like, how am I going to handle this and not flip
yeah,
out? How am I going to wake up tomorrow and go to face this person? And like,
yeah,
I had a,
yeah, yeah.
I had a person I
And
was
then,
interested,
like,
I
I think,
had a person I was interested in romantically last year, and it didn't go how I wanted it to, and that's fine. But it was hard, And then I had actually reconnected with an ex earlier that year, and I was over the moon over that. And then that fell apart really fast, and it was like we didn't even, it didn't get that far, but it was like, and
yeah,
but get I got through it again. And another thing you probably know as well, or anybody else who's been through anything, and like you get hit something else, it's nice in a way to be able to remember that I can look back and go, I made it through my divorce. That was hard as fuck. I made it through the toxic, tumultuous relationship after that, that was super unhealthy. I made it through the DUI stuff. I made it through the court stuff. I made it through, and just start thinking of, okay, then I can make it through this too.
Yeah.
And I'll be strong on the other end because I'm better now than I was, 5 years.
100%. Yeah.
So yeah, man, it's good stuff.
Yeah. It really is. I think that's like good stuff for people to remember all the time, like think of the hardest thing you've gone through and then be like, I got through that. I can get through this too, you know?
Mhm.
And that's probably worse than what it is now, unless your perspective has drastically changed in some way.
Yeah, I'm
But
taking you for a walk for a second.
okay.
So I get some water.
Okay. um, yeah, I mean, I think it's just really, about perspective and being able to accept and grow and, change. And
Yeah, and then I realized too, because I was doing so much of the growing and the working on myself and everything. And I remember it was like after I think I'd been doing it for like a week straight, just these videos and the meditating and all this stuff. And then finally one day I was like, I need a freaking break, man. Like, can I just like watch a movie and like play video games? And then, this little voice was like, yes, you can. You're doing good. And it's just this process you go through and you like start really knowing yourself. And it's great to live alone, honestly. If you can live alone
my
and
God.
enjoy it, oh,
Yeah.
fuck, awesome, man. It's
Oh,
awesome. And then
yes.
yeah, I get all this solitude. Well, I have these two crazy knucklehead cats, so I'm not completely alone. But then I'm also out constantly throughout the week, going and meeting new people at places and seeing people that I know because I play there regularly. And I get all this great like love and interaction and hugs and people, friends at my day job, and then you get this come home and have this solitude, and it's great, man.
Yeah,
It's
me
gonna
too.
be great too to someday share with a person, but the
Yeah.
real key, I think, in life, man, is being okay on your own, no matter what.
Yeah.
That's tough for a lot of us.
It really is. And it was 100%. I don't think I'd be able to live on my own if I was still in Seattle. I would
Yeah.
still be living with other people. Like it's just, and not just because of financial reasons, but because I just didn't do all the work to be able to be comfortable with myself. Now I love my house and it's my own, and I mean, I don't own it, but like I rent it, but like I love being in it and I love being able to come home and see my animals and all that kind of stuff and watch my own TV and just have my own space finally. And it's changed my perspective of so many things. And I've been able to just have a lot of healing through all of that. And it started with living on the property of my friend's house when I got here. And I was in my own space at her house. It was on the back of her property. And so it kind of started with that. And then I found this. And my neighbors are fairly close, but like also, I'm still in my own space, So I think that's one of the things that you have to really get used to too, is being able to be with yourself and not have to be gone all the time or have somebody over all the time or whatever, like I definitely was not that way before I moved here for sure. But now I have a new perspective of it.
That's another part of our growing, like, and not all of us get that opportunity, and that's cool. It's so interesting how we all have these just different life paths, man. Like everybody's journey is like pretty unique. Like I used to think for a long time, I was like, oh, someday it'd be cool to live alone, but I always had a roommate or I was living with a girlfriend, like I lived with my high school girlfriend. As soon as I was 18, I moved in with her. We lived together for a few years and then we split up. And then some years went by with roommates. And then when I met my ex-wife, it was after like within a year of us dating, we were living together and then eventually got married anyways. And but what was crazy was when she left, I got forced into living alone
Yeah.
and it sucked. like I was not prepared for it, and it was hard. I hated being alone, and it was just gnarly, you know. And that was through therapy. I learned that that had to do with like some abandonment issues from childhood, and also some attachment issues, you know, stuff like that. That I think we all have on whatever kind of level, some more than others, and some less than others, and whatever. But then eventually, that's how you certain get to really get to know yourself. And I was driving again. I had a moment today in the car driving, and it was like I was like, you can. I was like, Josh, you can do anything, man. Like that you really want to do. Look at all the fucking shit you've done. Think of all the things you've already done and become that you dreamt of like 10, 20 years ago. I remember when I was in high school talking to some old man, and he was like, "What are you going to do after high school?" And I was like, "I'm going to be a journeyman carpenter." And he was like, "That's what you're going to do?" And I was like, "Yeah." I wasn't sure, but I knew my dad had liked, and I knew I liked, you know, building things. And then, you know, I pissed and putted for a few years, and eventually I did become a journeyman carpenter. And then, you know, learned that it all worked out, man. I got hit by the car and got hurt, couldn't do it, and then went cooking, and now magically I'm a musician. What
Yeah.
I always wanted to do, and now I'm
Yeah.
doing it. So
That's
crazy, man.
yeah, it's great. I think it's cool. Like I came here and I've always wanted to be like I wanted to do music like that, like do a show like this. So I'm doing that. I always wanted to be like a writer for like a newspaper or a magazine or something like that. And as of Thursday of last week, I got my first like full length column that I'm writing for,
What?
and it's on the front page.
Holy
So
shit, dude.
yeah. Yeah.
That's
Like something I no way I'd ever do in Seattle, you know? So it's just
amazing.
I think it's cool that like, you know, I mean between the two of us we've been able to really push in the last 5 years of really doing the things that we wanted to do, but like also, you know, seeing the journey and you know, support, and I think it takes that too is to have just support of people behind you. But um you know, it's just cool to kind of see after all this time all these things and being able to accept that and still be okay with yourself in the end of it, you know, and have your own place or whatever it is and be okay in the end of it. Oh my god, my cat is so cute right now. Oh man, that really distracted me. um
That's great. Mine just another one of them just pooped a second ago, so that was nice. I got to, although at least he's the one that buries his, so it only smelled for a second.
yeah.
The other
Oh my
one's like
god.
more dominant one, and so he just like drops it and like walks away like he's
Yeah.
king shit, and
Yeah,
it's
that's Chloe, and then my 1 year old, and then my 6 month old. He will just he'll go in behind her and cover it up.
that's not.
It's so funny. Um, so yeah. Anyway, well, let's talk about your music because we've almost talked for an hour and haven't even mentioned that yet.
Well, we need
Which
to
is the
do this.
whole reason we're here.
Okay,
Um,
that's we have.
we do. Um, so yeah, let's talk about your song. I want to know like I want to know everything about it.
So this is a cover song,
Okay.
and it's Chris Stapleton's song called "Starting Over." Very pretty popular song. Great song, beautiful lyrics, beautiful melodies. And when I started to learn to play it, I was dating the girl that I'm wrote. Pretty much this whole album is about that relationship,
Yeah.
and it's either going to be called Spectrum or The Spectrum. I haven't decided, but something along that line. Because the first couple songs I was writing that are going to be on the album were like I was in love. I'd fallen in love, you know, and I was like flying on a cloud.
Hmm.
So they're like, "Oh, I'm so happy." One of the songs is called "The Greatest Gift," which I actually wrote on the piano, which is will be interesting when that gets recorded.
Yeah.
Um, but I'm getting a bit piano. And then it goes, you know, and then there's some. So that song "Fight the Fear" that's already been released, got like almost 2 years ago, I think. Could be almost 3 years ago that I released it. I don't know. Anywho, that's the first single off the album, and that one is about like, oh my god, I'm so happy, but now I'm also afraid I could lose this. So that's that song is about. So this starting over was kind of unofficially one of our songs in this very short-lived relationship, although which is weird because we kept having these connections and then we'd stop talking and then connect. Anyways, you know how
Yeah.
complicated. Um, and so the song has a lot of meaning to me on that level, but also with like just my journey and like, and I tell the story a lot when I'm out live performing. It's like it's never too late for you to start over, man. Like one of the people who's one of my biggest inspirations, and I read her books and I listen to her audio tapes almost every single night because they're like they help you rebuild like confidence and stuff while it's talking to you while you're subconscious while you're asleep. And it really works, man. It takes time, but it does. I don't know. I really feel like it's working.
Yeah.
And it's soothing. But she didn't start her publishing company until she was like 50 or something.
Yeah.
So it's just never too late to start over in your life. You know, you can, even if it's
Yeah.
like even that side gig is just you painting, fucking spend your time doing that because that's what you truly want to do. You never know. Van
Yeah.
Gogh, I don't think he even sold any paintings. I think he only sold one or two in his entire life. But now he's like one of the most famous painters ever.
Right. It's
I think
crazy.
too. I'm like, what if I got hit by a car tomorrow? And all I left behind was these 14 songs I've recorded. And
Yeah.
everything else is just what they would dig off my computer or my phone. That's just old crappy recordings, you know.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
rest would be all just what's written, and there's like some chords written there, but you wouldn't know what it sounds like or what it's supposed to sound like, you know.
Yeah.
But at least I've left something behind now.
Yeah.
Like, but I feel, I mean, obviously I haven't done what I want to do with this career yet, but I'm happy enough now knowing that if something did happen to me, that I'd be like, hey, at least I got this far.
Yeah.
I'm paying my
God.
I'm paying my bills with it
Yeah.
and then some. So it's
Yeah.
awesome. Yeah. So, anyways, the album's going to be called The Spectrum, because it's going to go from happy to oh my god, I want to die. There's literally a song called I Want to Die Without You, because I was like, as I was learning to heal. This was the first, actually, this I think was the first relationship I went through and breakup and that heartache that I went through completely sober,
Wow.
dead sober,
That's a
and pretty much by choice. I wasn't drinking back then. I hadn't started dabbling yet. I hadn't started trying to smoke weed again or anything like that yet. And so I prayed all the time. I exercised all the time. I did yoga. I barely ate initially because that's just the way I process when I'm hurting. But
yeah.
and I meditated like crazy, and I had like a spiritual awakening, and just all these things happened. And then I got to the other side, and I wrote another song that's going to be one of the next singles. It's already recorded, and it's about ready to come. It's ready to go, pretty much. But we're just going to, hold off till this one comes out. That one's called New Love, and that one was written all from the place of hope, really. I was like, we could start over, like I've changed, I've seen where I was wrong in whatever I did to hurt you, and like it's helped me grow as this person. It's great. I'm grateful for that, even though we're not talking anymore because
Yeah.
they decided not to talk to me, and that's fine. Um, yeah. So starting over is probably going to be near the end of the album. I think I actually have all the songs here. Yeah. It's going to be like Greatest Gift, which is like you're the greatest gift and your reason to live. It's one of the lines. And then it's Fight the Fear. And the funny thing is I was writing this, the third song is called Oh How I Love You. And I was literally finishing that song when she texted me that and broke up with me. The initial breakup. And I was just like,
What are the odds?
I think another reason why this is taking a long time to finish is because a lot of them are all fully written, but they need to be like fine tuned, and some of them need like a lot of fine tuning.
Yeah.
And I guess maybe I'm just procrastinating because I know it's going to dig up
Yeah.
shit that I still kind of haven't dealt with about it. And that, I'm well past it now.
Yeah.
There's a Willie Nelson song that really hits hard sometimes. I think a lot of people can identify with it. And I can't remember what it's called, but the main line is, it's not something you get over, but it's something you get through.
Yeah.
With
Yeah.
specifically, probably more for people like who've lost like a loved one too young, stuff like that. Like a parent losing a child. I mean, like,
Yeah.
yeah, or a sibling, or even those love relationships when you love someone so deeply and it just hurts for so long, and it's like, but a really good friend of mine who was a spiritual coach said that shows how much you really loved, it was real, that you really love this person, like that you're really in love with them. That's why it hurts so fucking bad. It's not fun, but at
Yeah.
least at least it was real.
It's interesting you mentioned that because my album is completely about somebody that I was completely in love with. And we never dated or anything, but it took me a while to tell him how I felt.
Hmm.
And it was the first time that I was like, man, I actually think I really am, and like I really do love this person, as a human, as a, everything that he could offer, good and bad. And it was interesting because at the end when I finally told him, and there was nothing back, but he just wanted to stay friends. But um it's interesting because I had really engulfed myself in feeling that intense feeling, and it hurt as if we broke up. Like,
Hmm.
and that's when, for the first time in my whole life, and I was in my 30s, my first time in my whole life, I was like, man, I actually, oh man, sorry, people, I'm on my phone. Um, it was the first time I'd actually was like, oh man, I really did love this. Like, all the people I thought I loved before never felt like this. It was nothing like that.
Yeah.
And, um, even my ex fiance, like, I was like, man, I didn't love him like I love this person. You know,
Yeah. It's interesting.
it was interesting. Yeah.
Levels. Like, I
Yep.
know a lot of specifically women and ones that I've dated in the past, or even ones that I've like had crushes on, that I still see from time to time because I work around some of them. And it's like, I know I love them, right?
Hmm.
But it's different. I'm not in love with them.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Exactly.
like one gal that I did start spending some time with, but I guess I must totally misread the feelings. Like, I think maybe I built it up in my head too much, that it was like it was more to me than it obviously was to them, and that's fine. And we're still friends, but um oh god, what was I gonna say? Crap. I just brain I just brain farted hard.
Well, that's what I
Or
meant
just
about
knowing
that.
that I was like, oh, okay, sorry, I got it back. I was like knowing that I love them, and I did really do had a lot of love for her, but I wasn't in love with her.
Yeah.
But then I was pretty sure, I was like, well, I bet if we had like started something, then probably would have gone quickly into like really falling in love with that person. But I'm glad it didn't, because it wasn't mutual. Like,
Yeah.
there wasn't anything there. And it taught me a lesson about being a little more mindful about the way I'm approaching
Yeah.
anything, still, even if
100%.
I'm in it.
Yeah.
In fact, I'm kind of like, I've been doing a lot of pursuing, whether it was on dating apps or actually pursuing someone I was interested in, or whether it was like sending a message to somebody, whatever, that kind of stuff. And finally, I'm just like, all right, I did that for a while and it hasn't paid off. And I'm really just like, would like to just take the stress off of myself of like, I got to find a relationship and just be happy with my life, because my life is fucking amazing. Like, do I have a significant other? No. Would that be great? Yeah, I hope so. If they're cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I bet it would with the right person. It's going to be amazing. But that's not happening right now, and that's okay. And let's be
Yeah.
okay with it. Let's stop this obsessive dating app shit. It's
Yeah.
not even healthy, really. It doesn't really, like, I've never had a ton of luck with it. I've met a couple great women that I did get to spend a few months with, and it's sad that it didn't go further than that, but I'm grateful for that. But other than that, it's like, I'm not lately, just like, what the fuck is the point of this shit? Half
Yeah.
the people you
God.
match with, scammers. And anyway, so let's take the focus off that in life and focus on all the amazing things that I got my own place. I'm a professional musician, like I always wanted to be. I'm
Yeah.
growing in person. I'm, all these great things. And yeah, again, it's a new day to start over.
Yeah, exactly. And I think, when you're a musician, it's kind of hard because uh, you are in those fields, like however you get to being a musician, you are a little bit more keen to being, a little bit more emotional, um so I feel like, and you, to go back to what you were saying about like you thought it was more you than them, that's kind of how I was feeling once I kind of, they were like, no, I just like you as a friend, we can be friends, um or not,
Right.
like, I don't see you like that, we can be friends, whatever. And so, it was like, wow, I took a step back and I was like, wow, maybe it really was all me building it up in my head and thinking that like all these little moments were something big when they really weren't, you know?
Well,
And so,
to that, it's like it doesn't mean they weren't to you, right?
yeah,
Maybe we built them up a little more than we should have. Got a little more excited over those moments than we probably should have, but that's
right.
okay too. We got excited the way we did,
Yeah.
and maybe just it wasn't for them. But yeah, it's so tricky,
Great.
man. But
Yeah.
it helps you learn, right?
Yeah.
Now I feel like I'm gonna be okay with just being a little more reserved
Yeah.
and
But it's fuel for music, like no
emotion.
way would I have ever written a full album about somebody. Like there's just no way. I haven't liked anybody since I was in my 20s, you know?
Mm,
So like for me it was like, whoa, like this person really brought out a part of me that like I didn't even know I would even have, And that led me to meet Katie, who helped me write all of those songs and brought them to life and gave me the safe space to do it, And so, it's just so cool to like have music kind of bring you, though you think it's going to be like this tragedy. Oh, what is wrong with me? Have this like tragedy. It really isn't, and it's really just a beautiful thing to kind of carry you through, you know.
dude, I'm so grateful, honestly. Even though that first performance when she split up with me, I had a gig like 2 days later, and it was so hard, man. I'm actually glad it
Uh,
was. It was weird. It was a lot. It was still back when there were only live streams,
yeah,
and I think they had just started having people in the bar, but they could. I don't know. Anyways, she even tuned into the live stream. That was so hard. But gig after gig after gig, the last few years, I've been, slowly just continually processing it. And then, I wasn't singing every song about her. Eventually, it went on to somebody I had a crush on for a while, and that was exciting.
yeah,
Those are exciting gig songs to sing with
yeah,
the excitement of maybe I'm going to get to kiss this new person, you like that kind of stuff, that
mhm,
excitement. Maybe they'll say yes to this date. I'm going to ask them on a date. It didn't pan out, but that's okay too.
yeah,
That also is helping me heal as I've gotten over past all that stuff in the past. Go like, hey man, what about somebody new? Look at all this sunshine. Well, I don't know how the weather's been over there, that part of Washington, but the last like 4 days straight over here, it's been like
oh,
70 degrees and just blue skies.
oh my
Like,
God, it's been blue skies, but it's been like 65, maybe 60. But God, it's beautiful. I love the sun out here.
bring out something in everybody. Everybody's been in a great mood. I've been around it, the day job, like,
Yeah,
and it's making me super excited. This is my favorite time of year anyway. It's
yeah,
spring. My birthday's coming up. Like
yeah,
the we're heading into summer. Like all the bbest time of the year is coming.
yeah.
Uh, so
I
yeah,
agree.
great.
Yeah. Well, let's hear the new song because I think that
With, with your like 10th yawn of the interview.
sorry people, when Josh and I get on, it is never what we think is going to be 30 minutes ever.
Setting a timer, or we have to give
Right?
you an itinerary, and you got to keep me. You got to keep me on track.
I know I'm a terrible host in that way. I just go with the flow.
Let 'em talk.
All right. Well, I mean, we've all had good, and if you're watching this after, the live, feel free to comment below of like any of the stuff that we've talked about, or if you feel like it, or what you think, because a conversation is awesome, and we like to hear about it and respond to it. So yeah, just feel free. It's a safe space. So
Yeah.
anyway,
Talk about some heavy shit today.
yeah. Okay, so Josh, why don't you play it for us, please?
This is my version of the great Chris Stapleton's Starting Over. Well, the road rolls out like a welcome back to a better place than the one we're at. I ain't got no kind of plan. Out all this time that I can stay. I got friends out on the coast. We can jump in the water and see what flows. We've been sailing for a rainy day. Let's beat the storm and be on our way. It don't matter to me, wherever we are's where I wanna be. Honey, for once in our life, let's take our chances and roll the dice. I can be your lucky penny, you can be my four-leaf clover, starting over. This might not be an easy time. There's rivers to cross and hills to climb. Some days we might fall apart. Some nights might be cold and dark. Nobody wins afraid of losing, and the hard roads are the ones we're choosing. Someday we'll look back and smile, realize it's worth every mile. It don't matter to me, wherever we are's where I wanna be. Honey, for once in our life, let's take our chances and roll the dice. I can be your lucky penny, you can be my four-leaf clover, starting over, starting over. It don't matter to me, wherever we are's where I wanna be. Honey, for once in our life, let's take our chances and roll the dice. I can be your lucky penny, you can be my four-leaf clover, starting over, starting over.
Yay!
Clap.
Clap, 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 clap. Woohoo! He decided to join.
It's quite different. I mean, so his version is actually once in a while I'll play it for people just because they recognize it quicker.
Yeah.
And it's more beats, so it depends on the crowd sometimes, but I can't find a freaking pick. Anyways, it goes like this. His is and it's great. And the world rolls down like a welcome mine. You
Yeah.
know. But
I
I
like
was like, it's such a beautiful tune that I thought
I like you slowing it down though. I think it's much better.
I got a lot of love and a lot of nice comments the last few years since I've been performing that one, and
Yeah.
I've gotten better at it. I got a great version. I'm gonna release another recording of it in the future because I have a fiddle player now that I play with,
Yeah.
and she's also an amazing vocalist, and she plays the harp, and it's so fun doing shows with her. We got a show this Saturday in Bellevue at Crossroads Bellevue.
Yeah.
7 to 8:45. If anyone's in that area, you should come out. It's gonna be awesome. She's Ruth, the amazing Ruth Navarre, is gonna be there with her fiddle. We're gonna be playing wagon wheel and some, bluegrass country, some Celtic stuff. And I'm gonna be doing about a 45-minute set of original stuff that's all gonna be recorded live. So eventually I'm gonna have live recordings that are gonna be released, and very excited.
Awesome. I'm excited for you, friend. That's great.
Yeah, another big show I'm excited about. I want to plug is this July 12th in Everett. There's going to be Salty Sea Days that weekend, starting on
Mhm.
the 12th to the Friday, and I'm going to be there with a full band for the first time in a long time. With the wonderful Ruth Navarre on fiddle, we're going to have my friend Andrew Dr. Sweets on bass, and my amazing drummer that I play with at the Spiritual Center in Ballard called Amazing Grace, which is a non-denominational, totally, they don't even say God there. Um, so if you're spiritual but you don't like the religion, you should check them out in Ballard. Services at 10:30 a.m. on Sundays. Kyle Doran, their drummer there, amazing, and he's going to be playing drums with me. So we're going to full band. Say not Salish Sea Days, Salty Sea Days in Everett on July 12th. So excited, just
Yeah.
continuing to do the mission and meet no more musicians and bring them into the fold. And yeah,
That's amazing. How fun.
there'll be a recording of Ruth on starting over in the future. I'll take the recording I already have, the base of that, and we'll probably just expand some of it so she can have her solos
Yeah.
because she's holy shit, dude.
Yeah. I
People
know. Many
fucking mind for the fiddle.
Yeah. I
They,
mean, I think it's amazing. One of my friends, Darren Jones, he has a fiddle player and it just changes the whole dynamic of a song, you know? Um
yeah,
and just
we're doing we're working on a version of, we just did it live for the first time and it went pretty good, so it'll just get better. Edward Sharp and the Zeros.
I haven't heard of them.
You probably know the song. It's called Home, and it's like, home, let me go home,
Oh,
I'll
yeah,
forever with you.
yeah.
So doing that song, but what's cool is, I'm doing the whistling, but I have to make sure I don't drink too much coffee before the set because then I can't whistle. I'm listening with her, and she's doing that. It goes out. Well, she's playing that on the fiddle too,
Oh,
well,
that's
guitar, and it sounds so cool, man. And then she does the middle part that goes na na da, da, na. It's just, dude.
yeah.
We had one show in West Seattle, and people were coming by, and it was just kind of a rough, not a rough place, but just a total dive bar tavern. You know, it was some rowdy like 20-year-olds playing pool, like while we're just playing like folk music, whatever. But we had people come by, but she'd be doing her solos, and they'd just be like going to the bathroom, and they'd be like, "Oh my god, my heart!" Like, oh, this is so cool. And it's just great having a new relationship with a friend who is super professional and classically trained and pushes me to continue to be a better musician with my
Yeah.
instrument, not just my voice, but my instrument. And to feel us, like our last gig on Saturday out in Sultan, we were singing and just, I pretty much just singing what I do, and she's just working with me. So I really get to give it up to her. because she's doing all the harmonies and all that.
Hmm.
And we're starting to get really tight, and it's just exciting because it feels so nice to be sharing energy instead of only playing solo all the time anymore.
Yeah,
Yeah, it gets lonely after a while, dude.
I know. Yeah. I've seen some musicians that are, I mean, they're fantastic, that are um alone, but Jesus, when you get them into a band, it's like a whole different musician, you know. Can't you know Camden? He's one of those. Get him
I
into a band
see
and
that
now,
because he's so fucking talented.
yeah, it's just crazy.
Seeing him gave me some like real humility, dude. Not that I'm not great at what I'm doing, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, confidence in myself, but and he does a kind of a different, obviously a different style than I do, but he's so good, dude. Like, which what's really cool too is I haven't listened to a lot of his music, and I want to get more into his library, but just a few songs I got to hear live, you almost wouldn't know he's as good at the guitar as he is. He's like a John Mayer. Like he's
Yeah,
super skilled, but some of the stuff he's writing isn't showing it off.
I know. I
But
know. But
if you're
get
there for his warm up, sorry, go
oh,
ahead.
yeah, sorry.
I,
Go
yeah,
ahead.
if for his warm up,
Yeah.
I was there for that, and he was like, and I was like, fuck.
But if you get him into, if you see some of his lives and stuff, or some of the videos on his Instagram, or even, you know, YouTube or whatever, and he's with a band, like, he's a whole different musician. He does all that. Like, it's crazy. And you're like, why can't you show, but I mean, I know it's hard to do as like a one piece band, but like I wish he would do more of it, you know, that, and not just him. Like, I wish there was more artists that were talented, that would, even as a solo artist, like, figure it out, you know, like, get a loop or something. Like, he doesn't like a loop, so, you know, that's why he doesn't use it. But like,
I do a loop for a long time until I recorded Lost Girl, really, and I had a pedal the whole time.
yeah, I remember you did. Yeah.
For effects, it had really great reverb effects built into it, and so but once I recorded Lost Girl, I was like, well, how am I going to recreate this live, like
Yeah.
as well as I can by myself? So
Yeah.
I started to practice with the looper, and I went to like an open mic, and I had some train wrecks, you know. So there were some live
Yeah.
train wrecks that were they were humbling, and that was
Yeah.
good because that made
Yeah.
me go home and fucking practice. And now I'm really sharp on my timing, you know. But every once in a while, there's this tiny little window on this tiny little pedal, right? So if my toes aren't like a little this way, wrong button, or I'll miss the button completely. I had
Yeah.
one time I was supposed to hit the button. I hit the wrong one and to hit stop instead of play
Oh, yeah.
solo, and it's like, well, it's too late now. So I just play the whole solo with no backing track. Just
Yeah.
there, go. Now we're back. Yeah,
I mean, the reason why I think that is because I got to see Ed Sheeran play two concerts, 3 hours apiece, with no band, and all he used was a loop pedal, just
These
himself
stadiums with fucking looper.
singing a song. And you're like, you know, like, the talent that people have blows my fucking mind all the time.
Do you know local girl Emily McVicker?
Yeah, she does too. I've had her on my show. She's fantastic.
Dude, her loop skills are off the chain. Her
Are amazing. I know.
harmony she can do with herself, like
Yeah, she
what,
does it,
what's
man.
crazy is I can hear her sing a line and I can be like, yeah, maybe that wasn't the best line she could have sung. And then she'll sing it in another octave and like it's fucking perfect. And I'm like, wow. And then she'll sing it in the next octave and it's even better. And I'm
Yeah,
like, this is what I learned, and I've been continuing to learn is don't underestimate people and don't fucking judge people. You got to really work on this ego that, however you developed it over the years of your life, to start shedding it away
yeah,
and
exactly.
stop just being like, and the well, going back to briefly about what we talked about um, I get really affected by the social media stuff. It just does. I don't know. It doesn't make me feel very good. I have to be really mindful how I'm scrolling, how long I'm scrolling. What are my intentions? What am I doing here? And I'll see. a musician is doing better than me or further along in their journey than maybe where I'm not yet, and it's like it, you probably know this kind of, anyone knows this feeling of just being like, am I not doing good? I'm not good enough. That like that whole fucking dangerous spiral. And just learning to be like, at least recognizing and
Yeah.
then trying to change the thinking around and really truly trying to get to that place where you're happy for this person.
Mhm.
Like, it's fucking amazing. And some
Yeah.
of them are friends. So it's like, I shouldn't be jealous. Now, a little bit of the envy, I think, is healthy, right? It pushes you to continue to grow as in your craft. But
Yes.
the unhealthy, like, what the fuck, maybe they're not that good. Now, that was me years ago. But
Mhm.
that little voice sometimes creeps up, and I have to be like, no, 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 no. That's an old, much more immature version of you that's somehow still likes to talk. And you have to just be like, no, sit down, little kid. You,
Yeah.
you've grown up now, and you're able to sit and watch another musician perform at a level you're not at, and be grateful you get to watch it, and grateful you're inspired by it, and be happy where you're at in this moment, that I can play the piano now in front of people and I'm not afraid. Like, that's amazing. I always wanted to play the piano, and now I can, at least decently.
Yeah.
Or I can play better on the guitar than I was like a year ago. So it's bringing
Yeah.
yourself down to earth and saying, hey, you're doing great.
Yeah.
You just don't see how far you've come. Like, you see me how I'll never be able to see me, right? You see me from 2020 to now, and all this change that you talked about in the beginning. And I'm like, I can see it sort of, but it's not the same.
Yeah. Yeah. Your attitude has changed too. Like your perspective and your attitude has changed. You
Like,
you're you have um back then you were a little bit more, it felt like, angry or frustrated or something along that line. And now you're just like more like wound up maybe. And I don't mean like uptight or,
and you're saying though,
but like this, like I don't know, just so much anger maybe. And now totally different.
I think
One.
I'm talking about though, because I think, and it still happens, but it's not as much. It has to do with that like comparison factor. It has to do with the fear of missing out, the what if I'm never this big worldwide known artist that I dream of being, blah 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 blah. And back then I was still in this I think I was still back then not truly in the belief that I could make it really happen.
Yeah.
'Cause I think I had released Lost Girl by then, and it wasn't doing like what I thought it was gonna do. It still actually only has like 3,000 streams on Spotify, but that's just Spotify. That doesn't count like all these other apps it's on. And it's really like, if you're gonna base all your success off your Spotify streams, fucking dude, let's just quit now, right? Like,
Yeah. I have
like
3.
that people are the at least for me personally, I have to like again pull myself back down and say, you're doing great, kid.
Yeah.
And look at the fact that you have a website, and sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes I get emails and they're like, hey, we saw you play a blah blah blah, can you come play our barbecue? Sure, man, absolutely. And people pay me to come to their house or to their corporate event or whatever the fuck it is, and play my guitar and sing Chris Stapleton and my own songs and whatever. And I could walk away with money in my hand and money in my bank account. Like, that's success, dude. You're already where I'm already where I wanted to be when I was dreaming of this 5, 6, 10 years ago. Like, I want to pay my bills playing music. Well, now I'm doing it. Now what's next? Well, now I'm just excited to see it continue to grow, to finish
Yeah.
this album and start the next album, and to keep playing bigger and bigger stages and meeting more and more people, and eventually open for Band of Horses, or like, Willie Nelson's son, Lucas Nelson, and Promise of the Real. That would be epic. Go on, go on tour with those guys, or, open for Tyler Childers, or,
Yeah.
like, sky's the limit. Look at any quick Dave Grohl. Dave
Yeah.
Grohl, the interview I watched him not that long ago, and he was talking about how he kept dreaming of being on the SNL stage.
Yeah.
And then one day he fucking played the SNL stage.
Yeah.
And then he
Amazing.
said the thing about the interview he was actually in, which is on that show Hot Ones where they eat the hot wings.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
he was like, I want to be on the show, and now here I am. And I was like, so dude, there is something to believing in your
Yeah.
and almost foolishly, as some people would say it. But my dad for years was like, you got to be realistic. You're not going to be a musician, or you got to get a trade. You got to XYZ. Now, my dad's actually become a great big supporter of mine, because he saw this huge change in me after the car accident and me changing my life and becoming more responsible and humble and
Hmm.
whatever. And now he's seen me play corporate events where they pay me over $500. So it's like, he's like, wow, my son just made $500 in 2 hours of playing his guitar. I guess he really is good at
Yeah.
this, and it's like now to have that support of the family. And anyways, yeah.
It's funny you mentioned that, because the support factor, because I started LMS in the beginning more selfishly, because I was like, okay, everybody was getting on me while I was going to local shows all the time, especially Dakota Poorman. And mostly because, one, I thought he was really great. Two, my best friend was his drummer. So I was like going all the time so I could see my friend. And it was fun. And
Yeah,
so something to do and to get out. And there weren't really any other bands I was really interested in at the time. And so I would just go to his, and then I started making friends with like the group that used to go to his shows, and then I eventually got to like tour with him for a summer, and like it turned into this whole thing. Well, um in 2019 I got tired of people like, and it had been 3 or so years or four maybe up to that point where I was going to shows all the time. And everybody's like, why do you keep going? Do you like this dude? Like, why do you keep going to all these shows? Like, this is crazy. It's all the time. Are you drunk? Are you a party girl? Like, what are you getting out of this? And um and then I started actually going to other people's shows and seeing like all the talent that was in Seattle, and I was like, man, there's just not enough people here for this. Like,
right,
this person deserves so much better, you know? And then Oddstock came in, I think the first one was 2019, and Camden played at it, and Dakota was that's when I first met Camden. And Dakota was like the headliner, and Camden opened. And and I was like, bro, like these people deserve so much better. And
right,
that kind of was the catalyst to the feelings I was already feeling, but also seeing all this talent and being like, there should be so many more people seeing this. And that's really how LMS kind of started. It was just me wanting to prove to people that I had a reason why I was going, but also I wanted to share what I was seeing. And now 5 years later, everybody in my circle and my family, they all support it. Now they all aren't saying that anymore, um in fact, sometimes they go with me. And it's interesting to see that flip of like, oh, this really is something, that you're doing, and though you're not making money, it really is a success. And it's taken me a really long time, because I don't have a lot of followers, and I don't have a lot of like, um yeah, I guess just, views or whatever. But I'm not in the millions or the thousands or anything, but I have like 1,700 like followers, right? The most I get is like maybe 200 views. And
where it starts though.
but I feel like, even though it's been 5 years, I learned through this whole thing that like, I don't really care. I do it because I love it. I do it because I want to support musicians. I want to share them, and I want to give them a space to do it. And that's always what it's always been about, you
Yeah.
know? And
What
um
about that though is that you are doing it because you love it. And I was gonna say it's the same thing. I just go to these successful people who are doing what you want to do, or what you are, that's what they say. You should look at the people who are doing what you want to do. What are
Yeah.
they saying? Are they doing blah, blah, blah? Well, one of the things I found was one of my favorite quotes. I can see some great quotes, man, but one of my couple of my favorites is Bonnie Raitt one, and
Hmm.
hers specifically because it has to do with the entertainment industry that we're both in.
Hmm.
He says, "Don't worry about commercial success. You need to forget about that shit. Literally, you need to just stop striving for that. That's not what this is about. Like we do this because it's who we are. We are
Yeah.
musicians. We are musicians." And she says, "Focus on performing great for your community that you're in at the time. That's it." And that's, I think, again, like that's when you building those relationships and you just keep showing up and doing the best you can in that moment, whatever your skill is at that moment, and just keep doing your thing and believing in yourself. And it will. There's some great quotes. Like there was an Anthony Hopkins one, another one of my heroes, man. Like he's just like, believe it like it's fucking, everyone says you're crazy. Don't worry about them, dude. You have to believe. You have to believe. My ex, Charlie, I wasn't going to say her name, but anyways, her name's Charlie. She's the one writing the whole, she's probably never going to see this anyways. Uh, all the songs, basically, this whole album are about that relationship. And sometimes I get triggered when I see that name or hear that name, but I'll see it and hear it at weird times, and it's just interesting. But I saw a thing. I was at a store, I was, browsing, and it said, "Believe in yourself, that's the key." And it
Hmm.
was by Charlie Chaplin. And I was just like, and I ended up buying it. And it's on my fridge. And it's, the more time goes by that we're not talking to each other and we're apart, it's, it becomes less of a trigger and it becomes more of just like, you think of that person and you wish them well, and then you just move on with your life.
Yeah.
Uh, but that's what it is. Anthony Hopkins is saying it, dude. He didn't get the Hannibal Lecter role till he was almost 40 years old.
Wow.
He,
Yeah.
he was in his like late 30s. And actually, I just saw a post on one of those inspirational pages I follow on Instagram. I think I shared one once, and you were like, "Thank you for sharing this," because, and it was the same, or it was the same thing, but it was like, "Oh, Christian Dior or whatever didn't start till they were 41." Like
Yeah.
Colonel Sanders
Still
started.
have phone of like, because I I find that brings me back to square one sometimes, because I get into this feeling of I'm 41, like I'm not married, I don't have any kids. The one girl that I had, I adopted her when I was younger, but like, she's not my blood kid, and so um but I get to be a grandma, so who cares? But like I don't have any kids that are my blood, uh I'm this, I'm that, I don't have a career, I'm a creative, so like everything I do is creative, and who knows what's going to come from that. And so I could name off so many things, and then I see that and I'm like, that's right, like it doesn't really matter, like your life is your life, time is time, and you know you can't just the society is what puts all these pressures, or maybe your family, mine was, on you, of like following those paths. Oh, excuse me. And being able to be, you know, because I think a lot of it too is other people have wishes that they want for you. Like my best friend, she wanted me to have a kid so our kids could grow up together. You know, Ironically, my kid I adopted and her kid are having had a kid at the same time. Did we know that was going to happen? No. So like
Now you get
it's
to be grandmas together instead.
exactly, so it's those kinds of things where you're like, you accept, at some point you sit down and you accept that you're not on that certain trajectory that everybody wants for you, and that you're on your own.
Yeah, that's what I was telling my friend, because I guess she got a lot of pressure from her family to do X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
She had mentioned it's one of the reasons, at least at the moment, why she's not doing music full time. And it's because, I had this plan, and it's like, because my family, I was like, yeah, but it's your life. It's not their life. you know.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, I don't understand that family pressure. There's some families and of friends that I've talked to about, like my one friend who is Muslim, like he's like, no, I cannot go against my family. I cannot. He was like, and I was like, I understand.
Yeah.
I was suggesting like things he could do with his life differently because he was feeling like trapped, you know.
Yeah.
And I'm, dude, you live in America now. You can do whatever the fuck you want, man. But he's like, no, you don't understand. You don't understand. Like I do the one wrong thing, like the family, like I'm excommunicated, you know. Anyways, and it was like, I was like, no, I get you, man. Like and that's where people can feeling trapped. And you know, it's the same thing with like toxic relationships. You start feeling trapped. You get feel like, why would they never leave? Well, you're not in the situation. You don't know, you know. So it can
Exactly.
harm them. They get if you feel trapped. But what the hell were we talking about? Why? How do we get onto this?
I don't know anymore, friend. Um,
Anyways,
anyways, you know what? It's been an hour and a half.
hey,
Um, and I think we've bored people enough. No, I'm just kidding. Um, if you've stuck around this long, can I just say
thank
my
you.
thank you. We appreciate you because we
Blind
just
you with my whites.
yeah. Anyway, I appreciate everybody who comes and watches, and I'm sorry I have no idea why. But anyway, probably because it's 8:30. But nonetheless, I am just so thankful you came back on again for I don't know how many times you've been on. I just can't keep track. Um and if you guys don't know, we both we both have had podcast. Well, I have. He had a podcast, and we were on each other's. And this was all through 2020 and 2021. And so, if you haven't checked those out, where we talk kind of more in depth about stuff, um, well, ourselves anyway, go ahead and check it out. Do you want to tell yours so they can?
Yeah, Red Tech Talks, and I will be reviving it at some point. It's been in my mind constantly, like, oh, you got to do another episode because
Yeah,
I did season 2, and I think I did 2 episodes, and then
yeah.
the no,
Me too.
it's a good. The music career is just taken over, and
Yeah.
it's every time I'm like, oh, I should start classes for that. I'm like, no, I just got to focus on this now because eventually this thing will take on a life of its own. It kind of already starting to, like, where people are, well, a night goes really well and people take the cards and then they start talking about you in other rooms. And you ever see those little sayings where it's like there are rooms where your name is being mentioned you haven't even entered yet, blah blah blah.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that's happening. People are
Exactly.
emailing me and, hey, he was great at that thing and we should hire him. And you know, um
Exactly.
anyway, so believe in yourself.
Yeah. If there's anything that you've gotten this far to listen to, just do what the fuck you want and believe in yourself. That's really all it comes down to.
And be easy, man.
Yeah, just breathe. Yeah.
Let
But
everything
also
flow right past you.
yes, exactly. If you're interested, I'm still doing the podcast currently, and there are many, my God, there are many. I'm so sorry, people. There are many episodes in the wake. I'm also starting a new podcast, which I will release here in a little while, with a good friend, and that one is called. Actually, I'm not even going to release that just yet. We're going to wait for that. But if you want to go ahead and listen to the other artists, which Josh has been on, well, I guess I'm pointing the wrong way. There we go, that way. Josh has been on. It's called The Local Music Scene with Cara Jean. It's on all of your podcasts that you can get it from. Look for the same logo that you see on this one. And oh my God. I need to go to bed. Josh, I love you, friend. It
I
was good
love
to
you.
see you. I miss
Great.
you.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. I'm sorry I yawned. It's not you, I promise. um, anyways, I love you,
Nine
friend.
nine nine.
All right, everybody. Thank you so much for sticking around this long. Thank you for watching if you have, and we just appreciate you all the time coming in and really being able to support these artists. So if you haven't followed him or his music or anything, please go to his Instagram, and Joshua Red Uttech music.
At Joshua _ Red Uttech music, and at Joshua Red Tech on Facebook,
Yep.
and utechmusic.com. And don't forget to hit that link and go pre-save Starting Over, which comes out midnight on Friday.
Yeah, that's why we're all here. That's why we're here, is to promote the song. So please go and
really, it's very chill and romantic and moody.
Yes, it is. If you got to hear earlier, you would hear that. But anyway, I mean, when is Chris Stapleton not? So you're on the right track, my friend. But anyway, we appreciate you all. Thank you all again for checking in, and stay tuned for next week. We got all new people this whole year. Like I said in the previous, if you saw the previous interview to today, all this year is all new artists, unless they're like Josh, who is,
back on taking over.
All the new artists are taking over. So
another book coming up, so I'll hit you up.
Yeah, that would be fantastic. All right, everybody. Talk to you later. Thank you.
Take care.
Bye, everybody.